If your deadlift looks like this, it might or might not be that you have weak spinal erectors, or it could be that you just have a bad neuromotor engram. It's just fancy talk for your brain doesn't know how to tell your muscles to do the right things correctly and in the right order. The most common thing I see is that people just simply lead the movement with their hips. Yes, their hips, their hips, their hips, their hips, their hips, their... You get the point.
100% completely wrong.
Going to address two things: how to correct your motor engram, and if it is indeed weak spinal erectors, that back extensions aren't going to fix it. There's a very specific exercise that target the spinal erectors specifically that is going to fix this. So stay tuned. I'm going to get to it now. Okay, so first let's address the motor engram issue. So if your brain is just simply telling your body to move muscles in a certain sequence, that's the wrong sequence. The exercise that I saw that corrected this, I learned from Louis Simmons, and it's the chair deadlift or the seated deadlift. So let's go over this right now. So I have this in front of me. So what you want to do is you want to set up a chair. I like using a box because you can manipulate the height of it depending on how you have it laid out, to the level of your starting hip position. You're then going to sit on the box and put the bar in front of you, just like this. And what you're going to do is you're going to initiate the movement by arching your back, but not lifting the hips. You're then going to put your spinal erector in a proper position. And then when you come back down, you're going to let the bar cross the knees and squat down. Remember, anytime on a deadlift, anytime the bar is moving at the knee level or below, the movement's coming from the knees. The spine or the back is in a fixed position. I'll then let that go and let my back get back into a shitty position so that I can feel the difference, because it's important to have a contrast to know what bad feels like and then what good feels like. Okay? Now you can do this in sumo as well, right? It's the same thing. You're going to put the bar on the ground. You're going to let your back get into that shitty position. Arch your back. And when you do that, the bar will come up off the floor, and then finish the movement with your legs and your hips, keeping that straight back. And then same thing, keeping the straight back, the bar comes down to just below the knees, and then the knees bend to lower the lift. Yes, you're very good, Travis. After you've done that, you start this is phase 2. You're going to start the exercise the same way, but this time when you come down, you're not going to let go of the good form. You're going to try to maintain the form and lift the bar off of the ground, maintaining the good form. So this is the phase 2 of this exercise. Okay? Now the next thing you're going to do, the third phase, is getting rid of the box. So you're basically getting rid of the training wheels here, right? So you can do this on both lifts again, right? Do this on conventional, where you're going to set up in the shitty position, then to the good position, and now everything's moving together. So the hips are not moving ahead of the rest of the body. That's usually what puts people into bad form. Now this can be due to weak spinal erectors, but again, sometimes it's just the way the person has learned to lift over time. For whatever reason, they just never learned how to keep a neutral spine, right? Yes, and then hallelujah, right? So that's number one fix that I use with people, is doing the seated deadlift. It's usually just teaching them how to move properly. It's not necessarily a strength issue. Now, it can be a strength issue, and if it is a strength issue, it will be a strength issue in the erector spinae muscle specifically. Now, you can do all these spine extensions you want in the world, but anyone who's done really good and heavy-duty spine extensions, you'll know that you will feel some deep burning in the hamstrings and the ass, as well as the lower back, right? As well as the spinal erector. But how can you target the weak link, right? Because again, when you have a weak link in the chain, that is the link you want to focus on. So isolation to integration. So the best exercise I have found to isolate the spinal erector is the Swiss ball spinal extension. So I'll put it up here, but essentially you'll see feet are against the wall and you're sort of draped over the ball, facing down. Now, I use weights for this, but you don't have to use weights at first just to get a feel for it. But you're just going to then, like someone has taken you by the back of your head and your back of your sacrum, and they're pulling the two ends up and together. So I'm actually trying to take my pelvis up off of the ball as well as my chest. So I'm taking, my spine is going this way over the ball to this way over the ball, right? And you'll feel that your glutes and your hamstrings are not activated at all if you do that correctly. And that's what you want to do. If you want to strengthen your spinal erector muscles in isolation, you got to get off of the traditional back extension, because there's no way that your body will always use your glutes and hamstrings on that exercise. So these are the two things that I have found that fixes deadlifts the most. Number one, fixing your motor engram, and then fixing your weak spinal erectors. Now, as you get more advanced in deadlifting and more heavier weights, is it normal for the thoracic spine to round a little bit? Well, I made a great video about that up here or here. I don't know where it's going to be. And you can watch that. So in short, the answer is yes, but it gets a little complicated. Watch the video. Stay strong and free.